Oh man, 5 American citizens are being released. He does a deal with terrorists. Okay, really? On 9/11? No shame.
That said that if that Hunter Biden laptop story
have any arguments against that right now, and I want to see how it goes. There's breaking news posted by Simon Ateba. Simon Ateba is the African reporter. He was born in America, but I believe so. I believe he was born in America. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he wasn't. Okay. But I know he's from Africa and he represents certain African countries. He was on our show before and we had an interview with him, both myself and Lou Valentino. And this young guy, he has been on fire lately on X, Twitter. He's been in his bag. So he just now posted this, and this is trending right now. It says the Biden administration has just struck a deal with Iran involving a prisoner exchange and a release of $6 billion in frozen Iranian funds. Now, the reason why I'm looking at this right here, because I want to know was not only what's going on in the world, but I want to know what people are talking about the most. And usually X, Twitter will show what's trending and what people are talking about the most. All right. This was posted at 4:49 p.m. on September 11th. And it says the agreement includes the release of 5 American citizens, which is good. When you think about that right off top, you're like, oh man, 5 American citizens are being released, you know what I mean, from the custody of Iran. But then it moves on and says, and 5 Iranians held in the U.S. are being released as well. That's where we are so far. We're just right here. So if you're looking at the agreement, right, that they're talking about, and you're not skipping ahead, I'm not skipping ahead. I'm just looking at it from this point on. The agreement includes the release of 5 American citizens. So far, so good. Sounds held in Iran and 5 Iranians held in the U.S. All right. So it sounds like a fair exchange so far. But then it goes on. And it says, as well as a waiver to transfer the frozen funds from South Korea to Qatar, bypassing U.S. sanctions. All right. So right now, at this point, it looked like we are getting poor end of the deal. All right. Because people understand how important our citizens are to us. So people know that we will trade any daggone thing, especially if we're soft. All right. So the agreement includes the release of 5 American citizens held in Iran and 5 Iranians held in the U.S. So we're releasing them, people. And then there's a waiver to transfer the frozen funds from South Korea to Qatar. So they get their money back that we froze, by the way, and it bypasses U.S. sanctions. Here's the part, despite Iran's classification as a state sponsor of terrorism. So he said your reaction. Now, and the reason why he said your reaction is because he really didn't want, he felt that to get the opinions of the public from the public than to give his own. So since he did that, let's go to the opinions of the public and see what they have to say. Number 1, in every way, Biden has shown just how much he hates America. Okay. So when she says this is from Pat, the storyteller. When she says this, I'm thinking that, I'm looking at some other ways that Biden has not proven to be the greatest president. But again, I'm new to politics, so I'm crawling, walk, not doing a whole bunch of talking before I understand what I'm talking about. Then she goes on to say, he has many countries around the world while America is becoming another Venezuela. Okay. Really? On 9/11? No shame. Now, the reason why this one right here hits a lot is because usually on 9/11, y'all remember 9/11, everybody remember 9/11. Like everyone says, never forget 9/11 because of the horrendous acts on our country. Terrorists, they really did a number on our people on that day. I remember that day personally. My wife was working downtown Washington, D.C. at the Ronald Reagan building, and I was working in Virginia, which was 5 minutes away from my wife in driving distance. Actually, I was working at the Ronald Reagan building that day, but I was stationed in Virginia. That's where my car was. And she was working at OPM. I think it's Operations Personnel Management Building on 17th and E Street Northwest, because she's always been in HR. So, and she was with my son Jojo. I don't know if any of you know who my son Jojo is, LFR Jojo. If you don't watch his channel, please make sure you go check it out. So she was actually pregnant with him during this time. And the building she's in is probably 5 to 7 minute drive from the Pentagon. The reason why I bring that up is because we already know when that happened, when those planes started to hit the Twin Towers, New York, and then one was headed over to Pennsylvania, and that one was shot out there. Well, I don't know if that one was shot out there. Let me back up a little bit. But we do also know that one ran into the Pentagon, all right? And the one Pentagon was right near where all of us was. So I had to go find my wife who was pregnant with my son and, you know, and try to get her back to my car so I can take her home. I mean, go pick up my other kids. At that point, we had 2 kids and one in the oven, and JoJo was the one in the oven. And that was worst situation to happen in our country during my lifetime. But the people on the left, they want to compare it with slavery. So I don't understand that. But the fact still remains that Joe Biden, he broke tradition because apparently U.S. presidents usually visit New York, ground zero, and, you know, make sure they go and show their love and respect to the families who survived the fallen, you know, who lost a whole bunch of family members because it was like 25,000 people working in those Twin Tower buildings per building. And it was complete anarchy in New York on that day. It wasn't nearly as bad here in DC. But Joe Biden was supposed to go visit at the Twin Towers on the anniversary of 9/11, and apparently he did not. But instead, they win the deal. And the day that terrorism really hit our country and destroyed a fabric of our country, he does a deal with terrorists. What? Which makes absolutely no sense to me. Not getting emotional about it. So really on 9/11, this one right here says compromised traitor. This one right here says they did this on 9/11 after opting to not attend any memorial events today. They us and are not even hiding it anymore. This is what I was talking about. On 9/11, this deal goes through after they said, we're not going to any memorial events on 9/11. Like, what's the point? We'll let y'all go ahead and do all that. We're not doing all that. And that's the part right here.